Crypto market is almost down 3% for the day, and Bitcoin is down 3.48%. So it did drop. I was actually telling you guys this, right? Within the next 5 days, it's going to be a game changer. The further drop to 23K cannot be neglected. I actually did mention that. And it was like 3 days back. And right now we are observing the fact that it is dropping. So 8 hours back, before we actually started dropping, I actually gave you guys this thought process. We were just not been moving for like 3 days. So when we do move, it is going to be with higher level of volatility. And if you guys remember the thought process shared in the last video and a week back regarding Ether, I was saying if the support breaks, it is not going to look great. That means very rare opportunities will actually pop up in this market for those who are looking to buy this asset. So right now, we can actually see that we are breaking below those key levels. Now, if you actually look at XRP, this was our thought process. Like short-term support should be eyed at. Why? Because the price was breaking through that level. Now, if you actually come look at the price, it is right now at the short-term level of support. That's first level of support. We already hit that level. And if you look at BNB, we actually see that, okay, the call was there saying, okay, if this gets rejected, that means further panic is to be eyed, which was actually like if the RSI reach the level of resistance, by the time the price reaches this retest, that means negative for the price action. And if you actually go back, look at the RSI in that thought process, it doesn't actually look great. In yesterday's video, we did convey the fact that it is going to be a mammoth move coming, whether it's to the downside or to the upside, and it's a macro market. Right now, you go look at the market and you do see that it is a macro market. With all this information coming into the market, it does make a lot of sense. I gave this thought process clearly, like, okay, I'm actually moving out of this one, right? And I did inform you guys at what price, at what levels I moved out and where I actually bought those positions, right? Now, while we look at how the price action is reacting right now, it actually becomes even more important to look at the supports, the RSI, and look forward to what the hell is actually coming next. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. If you've been getting value, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't actually done that already. Now, let's actually dive into what's happening on the macro side. We got the CPI yesterday, which was lower than expected. So the chances of Fed pausing the rate, or at least saying, okay, we're not hiking it now, was there. And they did do that. And they are always say this. And I'm like, okay, but it never feels like that when these guys are on stage talking, because everyone gives you a different narrative. Now we actually come here and this particular point shows you like, okay, the market is now scared of this. Maybe this time they post, next time they're going to hike. We don't actually know, because the point that they are targeting 2.5% CPI by the end of 2024, it means they may not actually have to do that, right? If they really want to hammer the market down, they would have done that. But we always understand the fact that these guys have been wrong time and time and time again, right? Here, they were saying it's transitory. Then they were like, okay, yeah, it's here, but it's going to go. It should drop immediately. Now it should drop. It should drop. We actually saw the target. Now, from 2022, the targets are being moved and moved and moved ahead towards 2024. That's a long way from where we are right now. So that actually means if they do hike, the market will look something like this. And that may not be great. It would be complete disaster for the market. Now, if you actually understand why I told you this and what I told you, it was actually like, 40 hours back when I was actually giving you guys the understanding. Like, I'm actually thinking like big guys are actually dropping out. Now, RSI is clearly showing, okay, there is some mistake. Forget that. RSI is clearly showing big guys are dropping out at least till the major support levels. Now that was like 40 hours back. And if you actually look at what came out 10 hours back, this makes a lot of sense now. 450,000 Ether was actually sent to these exchanges. Say here it's Coinbase. And I'm like, wow, that's a big one. That does show you that what we saw in the chart is valid. So if we are able to read the language of technical analysis, it kind of gives you some advantage. Now, we haven't actually got the daily close here in Bitcoin. As of now, yes, it does look like we are breaking that level of support. But remember, the RSI is flirting with that level of support. If we close here, yes, we are breaking that with a minute point. But if we are able to come back, retest this and get back into the range and close there for the day, maybe in another hour, that would be some level of positivity. At least we can say some buyers are interested in buying this asset, at least at this level, because we've already dipped towards 24,800. That's actually a good level to look and think, because we've been actually at the level of 31,000 and now we touched 24,800. So what does that actually mean, right? If you actually look at the macro chart for Bitcoin, you'll clearly understand the fact that right now the local bottom where we hit and where we are right now is a level of resistance turned support. So it was previously a resistance. Right now it is acting as a support. But the concern for me here is that, say, on a daily chart, when you actually try and plot this, it doesn't actually look like we are holding on. It does look like we are dropping further. So if we do drop and get the daily close, what does that actually mean? For me, my eyes actually read it like, okay, we are actually going to drop just below 24,000. That's on the daily chart. If you read that daily chart the way I'm reading, that's what I think the chart is showing. Now, on a weekly, this becomes a little bit more scary in the sense like, yeah, daily is showing you we are dropping, weekly is showing you we are dropping. And if you remember, as soon as we got the weekly candle closed just below the 21-day moving average, we've been discussing here saying, okay, guys, this is important. We've tried to move back above, but we got rejected multiple times. That does not look good. Now we are slowly going to the downside. One thing positive though in the market is, now that is right now we don't have the bottom yet. So once we get the bottom, it is going to be most likely a positive scenario. So maybe the bottom is somewhere here. Maybe it's going to be at the middle point. We don't know right now, but keep this in mind. RSI is showing you one level of support here and the next level of support here. What does that mean? If you actually plot a line between that, you will notice the fact that it is forming a lower low. Whereas the price is most likely going to make a higher low. That is a divergence. It's actually a classical divergence, I would say. If you're actually thinking about it in a way where the price is still making a higher high and the RSI is actually dropping, that's a bullish divergence in the market. So the way I'm thinking about it is like, okay, this drop is happening. It is painful, but something bigger and better in terms of bullish narrative is building here. And the same was valid on a daily. While we were actually looking at the daily charts, we were talking about the divergence forming here. But what happens now is that the Ether is dropping, BNB is dropping. What does that mean? The market, the panic, everything is slowly coming in. And it also gave you the thought process clearly. Like, guys, last 3 days we've been doing nothing, right? On the daily, I actually gave you guys. So that means next time when we actually move, the move is going to be highly volatile. And we were actually looking for the further drop. Now that it is materializing in front of us, it is our choice to look at the market and say like, okay, it's breaking lower. So as an investor, as a trader here in the market, what should I be thinking? The market as a whole is now turning into that panic mode. Yes, lower support levels are there, 22, 23, that's all great. But the price action on a daily right now shows you if we are able to close this daily chart somewhere here. That's good. Meaning you're making lower lows, but the RSI is saying someone is holding on, or at least sellers are not able to push to the downside, or buyers are holding that level strong, which actually shows you like, okay, there are some entering the market the same manner we thought about Ether, like some guys are dropping out. We are watching that people are entering here in Bitcoin. Now, it may not be the actual retail sentiment, it would be the opposite actually, but I think the big guys are actually trying to buy in this asset. Now, one of the reasons for that is you go on the macro and you still see like, okay, while we actually got this monthly candle here, I told you guys, watch for supports. We're going to go lower, maybe 23,000, right? And we are somewhat in that range right now. We are actually moving to the downside. But monthly coming back to test this moving average here on the RSI usually gives you a bounce. If you actually look at what happened last time around, that was exciting. At least for my eyes, that was exciting. The way you bounced off was perfect. Bitcoin traveled all the way from 10,000 towards $70,000. That was a great rally. So if something like that is about to come here, we don't really want to miss that one out. So that is one of the primary reasons why I say focus on the charts. When we reach supports, don't neglect that. So what's the macro support going to be for Bitcoin in terms of price? I think the level of 22, 23 shouldn't be neglected, but daily chart should be eyed. At the same time, look for the macro support here in the RSI. Right now, the RSI is trading at 49 on a weekly for Bitcoin, and I think we may actually drop close to 41, 42, and that can be a classic level of support. And if the price remains above 22,500 at that time, that shows you a huge buying opportunity in my opinion. Now, I can be wrong, but at least last 6-7 months, while we look at all these calls we've been going through, it's been positive. Those who actually followed it are happy. I see a lot of people sending me these kind of message nowadays regularly because they didn't actually see the same thing from a lot of other areas. Now, they are gaining on their bags in number of units or in terms of a portfolio as a whole. So if you guys are interested in looking at all these things regularly and on the right time, and I would actually say like, these are not what I'm saying. These are those who follow me, who are actually suggesting me that these timely posts really help them a lot. So if you guys are in there and you like this and you would further want to take benefit of all this, look at the link here. It's Patreon. It's given in the description below. If you're only in XRP, this video is more than enough for you guys. With the Bitcoin, with the XRP, with the macro market analysis, you now have an edge on the market. Watch for the oil. If that actually breaks this level of support in the RSI, it's not going to be great for sure. That is going to be worst. And I've actually shared that thought process even on Twitter. So if you guys are here in Twitter space, you can actually follow me and you're already watching this. So if you are in Twitter and you're not following me right now, this can be a great time to do that. Some of these posts I actually come here, give you guys the right thought process at the right time. So even if you're not on the Patreon, you can actually use that. Now, we're actually doing, now the market is hard, that's why I'm actually doing now a trial. So if you guys want to check it out without paying, you can still do that. And if you like the information which is being dropped on there and you think there is a lot of value, then you can forward with that. Otherwise, you can just drop it there. So guys, again, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.